Andrew Farriss, welcome back to
Yeah.
Noise11.com as you prepare to head out on tour, which is going to be pretty exciting stuff for 2021.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm really, yeah, exciting is a good word.
Who is your band now? Who is in the band?
My core band, if you like, is Laurie Minson on pedal steel and guitar, harmonica, and he does a bit of backing vocals. Actually, Laurie just about plays everything, including banjo or whatever. That's an important part of my arsenal, if you like, on stage, as well as I've got Ashley Leaf on vocals and percussion. And then I've got Travis New on electric guitar. And Travis sort of really has a very sort of strong country background in what he does as well. And he came recommended by Laurie. And I trust Laurie with his judgment with musical and a lot of things, actually. And I got Mitch Farr on the drums, who Mitch is a bit of a legend in that country music world as well. And then this time around, I'm also taking Zoe Hauptmann out on tour. She's been out on tour with Ian Moss and yeah, quite a few, Missy Higgins and quite a few different artists over the years. And I'm excited to have her on board. And she sings as well. She's a great singer. And yeah, that's pretty much my sort of core band. And myself, obviously, I'm there. Yeah, and but I also have other musicians who hopefully will have sort of surprise visits here and there. Also, I've got both Jimmy Daly and Anna McInerney from the Morrisons, they're a bluegrass band. They'll be sort of stepping in and out, but there's a surprise. I can't tell you exactly when and where, but yeah, I'm looking forward to them. And of course, Lauren Azar, she plays keys and she's an amazing singer as well. But my core band is sort of a bit different. You know, we sort of have a bit more, I don't know what you call it. You know, if we need to sort of suddenly go somewhere, we're there. And, but I do know, as you can imagine, a lot of musicians over the years, and I'm really fortunate to have these guys playing with me. You know?
Well, you're talking about all these great people that you do have in your band. You are travelling quite extensively around Australia, and obviously you will come across towns where certain brothers or band members may live. Will we be seeing some of the other NXS guys joining you from time to time as a guest musician?
That's interesting. Sure, I'd be happy to see them. First of all, two of them, my brothers, being Tim and John, and I'd love to see them anytime. They're my brothers, you know. I think also Kirk, Pangilly, he and I actually played together the other day at the NRL Grand Final. I did a duet vocally and played guitar with Amy Shark. And Kirk got up and played saxophone there as well. Actually, he was sitting in the audience at the time when he was playing his part. Yeah, I like seeing those guys, and I miss them. You know, and Gary, I can't really perform with until the government lets us all off the chain and be able to go overseas and run around over there. You know, so yeah.
Obviously, you've got a lot of country musicians within this band. So, how will you handle the rock songs, the older songs, the NXS songs? How many of those will actually be finalised into the set list?
Yeah, well, obviously, that's a good question. It's really hard for me not to play the NXS songs because I love them and because I wrote, co-wrote most of them, anyway, and they're part of who I am, if I can put it that way. And I'm a fan of NXS too, even though that sounds strange, but I am. I love the band. I think the band's great, awesome. And I think so. For me, how many? I think that'll determine on the actual show, and I think it will also determine how well received my LP is, and how quickly people begin to understand that my country music debut with my album is also preceded by my EP, which was released sort of later in 2020, and that's done really well. Actually, I had two singles out from the EP. One was All the Stars in Mine, which has been very popular when I've been playing it live. And the other song was Love Makes the World, which is still in the top 20, I think, in the country music national charts. And it was a top 5 hit nationally for me in country music radio, which I got to tell you, I was absolutely thrilled about. I mean, of all of the acknowledgements of things I've done in my life, that one was really amazing because, you know, I just set out and embarked on this thing, and I thought, who's going to want to listen to me doing all this? But people are listening and they're paying attention. So I'm sorry I'm talking too much, but I think it'll determine between the EP, which is, you know, got a lot of attention, and now my LP, that'll determine kind of where I think the NXS songs may or may not fit into my set.
What's one NXS song that you think you would need to play? Well, I guess Never Tear Us Apart, because people are just going to want to come and see Andrew Farriss. They're going to want to hear Never Tear Us Apart. Let's put that song aside. What's one other?
Okay. Well, I don't want to tell you too much, but there's probably another one that is, you know, has been another very huge hit for NXS, and a song that I wrote and co-wrote. But that particular song, I don't want to tell you which song it is, but what I'm going to do with it do probably a little bit like what Bonnie Raitt did, and just mess around with it a bit. She covered the song, and I like the way she took it into sort of bluesy sort of feel, and that's something I'm more interested more and more in, is the blues style well, I love blues music, and I think that country music, blues, and rock are all interrelated, and folk, but especially blues and rock are kind of related to country music in a funny way. They're like cousins, and they're not too distant either. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Wow, you've been very, very cryptic there, Andrews. Is this a song that Bonnie Raitt actually covered of yours at one point?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're going to make me go Google, aren't you?
Well, look, the song is Need You Tonight, okay, but I don't want to do it exactly the same way as NXS did, out of respect for them too, but also because the way I hear it slightly differently now in how I would approach the song. I just have a different take on what I'm thinking of doing with it. That's all. And Bonnie Raitt came and talked to me actually when I saw her at in Nashville. She was doing a big concert there in the middle of Nashville, and I went along to see her, and she'd mentioned I was in the audience, which was, I had no idea she was going to do that. But it was as I was sitting down, there was someone that was walking in front of me to find their seat to sit down. I'm like, what's she saying? What's she saying? I'm trying to look by them to figure out and I kind of missed that moment. So later on, we went back to say hello to her, and backstage, my wife and I, and she was really friendly, and she asked me to write a song specifically for her. And I got a couple of ideas in mind for that, but yeah, I got that's another one of my little boxes I got to tick off there. And I got a lot of things that connect the dots between me and some of these other genres of music, and the things that I want to explore. And at the moment, I'm loving doing the country music thing. My album comes out on March 19th, if you didn't know already, and the next single is Run Baby Run. That comes out on March 5th, which is just around the corner now. I'm really excited about that. You know, I've already been talking to some people on radio about it, and I can hear it playing on radio in the background, and I can hear the radio compressors on the song. And this is going to sound like a funny thing, but I'm being a bit of a tech nerd now. It sounds really good because of the compression on the radio. It sounds really good. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that song, Run Baby Run. This is the one co-written with Bruce Wallace and Phil Barton in Nashville, and you've already made a video for this.
Yeah, well, that's right. I've made a video for Run Baby Run, but it was great writing the song with Bruce Wallace and Phil Barton. Both those guys are awesome writers, and you know, they're sort of Nashville house writer type people, and I am, but I'm not at the same time. I'm just who I am, and I've written with people all around the world and in different music genres or whatever, and still will and still do. But the country music side of the writing of the song, I love it, and I think I could tell that Bruce and Phil they were really interested in the fact that because we had one chorus already for the song, like we had the verse and the introduction and the chorus or whatever, and then I said to him, look, you know, it needs a second chorus, and they were like, what? I said, no, it's got to have two choruses, and they're like, hey, well, what do you mean? So I played them the part. And I said, this should be a chorus as well. And then when I think Phil and Bruce went, I see what you're saying, you know, because that takes it where you don't think it's going to go in the song. Like it starts off and you go, okay, I know where this is going. And it doesn't do that at all. It goes somewhere else. And that was something I'm really happy with about the song. I think that's one of the things that helps people get into the song quickly, because it has these repetitive themes, you know, that repetition thing in it that's easy for people to deal with. The song's a feel-good song. It's not trying to explain life. It's not a, you know, it's not a the end of the world song. It's just a happy feel-good song. It's kind of song that you'd want to drive down a highway with your significant other and say, life's great. You know, it's not a negative song. That's really what it's all about. But the video, sorry, I got off track there. The video is really something else. The video came about because I was playing the Gympie Muster back in 2019, I think it was. And that was awesome to play that. I was really nervous, I got to say, at that show, because it was my first big festival, country music festival. But on the way to the venue to do the show, the Mary Valley Rattler, the steam train, pulled in somewhere along the line near Gympie. And I love old steam trains. I thought, hey, this is cool. And the train comes in and there's kids and moms and dads everywhere. And, you know, and they've done a beautiful job of restoring this old engine, you know, this over 100 years old. And I said, oh, look, you know, because the footplate is the holy of holies on a steam train, right? It's right where you want to be, is up with the driver and the engineer are, and they're firing that coal and all that stuff. And so someone talked to them. They said, would you mind if Andrew got up in the footplace? They said, okay, sure. And so I got up and I had a look and I thought, this is great, you know? And then I ended up, the lady, Karen, I think it is, from Mary Valley Rattler, said, you know, would you be interested in, you know, doing something more with the museum or the train? I said, I'd love to shoot a video. So that's how it came about. And then one thing led to another. And the next minute, we had a steam train and carriages to shoot in this video, you know? And what I really wanted to do was run along the carriages on the roof, like in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And they said, you're not going to do that. Okay. I said, but that's what I want to do. I want to make it like a Western. Okay. So we had to come up with ideas, and we had people riding horses up near the steam train. And there's a girl that's being, you know, like tied to the railway tracks, and she runs away, and then she gets on the train, and then she's being chased by this bad guy, and each carriage has got a group of crazy people in it. And that's and at the end of it, I'm supposed to be rescuing this girl by using some sort of, you know, otherworldly alien technology or something to slow the train down, you know. It's kind of crazy thing, really. But I'm really proud of the video. Yeah, and Duncan Toombs is the video director guy who helped us, and Duncan's a bit of a legend in the country music world, and he's a genius, really, with what he does. And my wife Marlena was an enormous help as well, because she helped stylize the whole thing, which wasn't easy. Mm-hmm.
I would imagine you've set yourself a fairly high benchmark over the years with the NXS videos. What was the most elaborate NXS, biggest production that you ever made for any of the NXS videos? I seem to recall ones with explosions, and you know, there was that one that was done in one of the theatres in Melbourne at one point that, you know, looked like a Spielberg production.
Yeah, that was Listen Like Thieves, I think. That we shot there. And actually, I enjoy that video. I think some of the more crazy ones that we did, sure, were like, I don't even know where to begin. We shot 3 or 4 of them in Czechoslovakia, in Prague, in the old Bohemian part of the city when it was still under communist rule, you know. And so the moment we landed there, we had you know, local police, or, you know, whatever they were, following us around because they didn't want us shooting footage in a communist country. And, you know, so there's the beautiful old bridge in Prague. I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. But there was these 2 guys, I guess they might have been intelligence people or cops or KGB, I don't know what they were, standing there with the trench coats and the pork pie hats, pretending to read newspapers while we're shooting this video, this big elaborate thing that we were doing for Never Tear Us Apart, and for New Sensation, and for Guns in the Sky, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but anyway. We had this Scottish film producer guy who'd come over to help us with these elaborate shoots. And he said, don't worry, I'll go over and talk to them. So he walks over on the bridge and he goes, you don't need to stand there pretending you're reading a newspaper. What you need to do is come over and have some storage now, he says to them. So these guys, they come back over and they're sitting there doing shots of vodka and they're perfectly happy and relaxed. And after that, they took us basically anywhere we wanted to go in Prague. But anyway, I could tell you stories all day long about this stuff. But yeah, and the other, I'll tell you one more, okay? I know I shouldn't, but I will. In Japan as well, we shot 2 videos. One was for Original Sin and the other one was for I Sent a Message. Well, for Original Sin, we had a big production. There was a Japanese bikie gang. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of their colors or whatever they were, but they were cool guys. And they wanted to, we were on this big wharf somewhere in Tokyo. And Mike was riding a Harley with these fellas up and down the wharf. And we were all playing our, miming our instruments, whatever we're doing. And then we do I Send a Message in the old Tokyo temple, the huge old Tokyo temple at Hirohito, and had been there for thousands of years. I don't know how long. This beautiful wooden temple, and the head monk was there, and he had the purple robe and the gold with the bald head, and he was the head monk. And Michael and I were sitting there, and we said to him, "Why, after 1,000 years of isolation from Western influence, from Gaijin, did you let us guys in to make a video of all people?" Us young 20-somethings, what we were back then. And he said, well, he goes, because I like to play the trumpet. And he leans down and he picks up the trumpet and he goes, da-da-da-da-da-da. He starts playing the trumpet. I'm like, that's the reason after 1,000 years? Do you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be kidding me, And that's such a Buddhist thing, right? In the context of Buddhism, there is sometimes no reason for it. It just is, so, but yeah, and that was an incredible experience. But back to me, so all these experiences, it's an interesting question you asked me. Is it, you're right, from all, I don't know how many videos in Excess made, but we over 100 and something. We made a film too at Wembley Stadium. People don't realize that's not a video, it's actually a film. But the video aspect of it, I knew when I started making videos, and my wife Marlena, we talked about it a lot. If Andrew Farriss is going to make videos, they better be good, So I started thinking about it, and that's why I've gone down the road. I'm putting a lot of effort into my videos, because I think that's a way, to try to capture people's imagination as much as, it's a good way to show people what I'm doing and what genre of music I'm in, but it's also a great way to capture people's, imagination.
Well, it's not just videos, isn't it? Just looking over to my screen on the left here, the movies that your songs have been involved with. Me looking over here, Beverly Hills Cop 3, Donnie Darko, 40 Days and Nights, Coyote Ugly, Crocodile Dundee, Pretty in Pink, Reckless, The Lost Boys. It's an impressive list.
Yeah, and I think there's Face Off too with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage actually came to one of our gigs in Vancouver right towards the end of when Michael was still alive, and that was interesting. He's a cool guy. I remember talking to him for some time, and but all of these sort of connections for me with what I'm doing now, they're interesting because I'm bringing my experiences of a knowledge of what things we achieved back then, and I'm thinking about it in terms of not recreating all of that, but just my career as a country music artist and what I'm doing. It is kind of relative because I go to myself where someone goes, "Why don't we do this?" And I say, "Okay," and someone will say, "Why don't we do that?" I say, "No, that's not a good idea," because I know, from experience with doing all this, sometimes just don't go there, and other things you go there.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to talk to you, Andrew, because there's so many stories, and it's like talking to an iceberg. I get the tip of the stories, but underneath I know there's so many more others that we can never get to each interview. So we have to do more interviews going forward. That's the only way we're going to work all this out. The tour coming
All
up,
right.
starting, where do you start? I think it's in Queanbeyan, April
Uh,
9.
yeah, that's right. Queanbeyan, April 9. That's correct. Yeah. And Canberra. I spent a year in Canberra, actually, Marley and I, my wife and I. And I was offered a, a position, I suppose, if you like, or a fellowship, that's the correct word, at the ANU, working for or with the music college and the staff there. Yeah.
Andrew, thanks for your time here at Noise11, and I shall be having a beer in your honour on Saturday night at the Berry Pub.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Well, send my regards to Berry, and I have, I have beautiful memories of that area because of my family association with that area. And safe travels.